Hi, welcome back, you guys. We're going to look at lesson 1.5, solving equations with square roots and cube roots. Okay, so let's take a look at the square roots equation. Anything with a square root in it, you're going to square root. So this 2x, this x squared, that 2 means you are going to square root your numbers. So for example, if you had x squared equals 25, that means you're going to square root both sides. So the square root of x squared is x, and then the square root of 25 is a positive and a negative 5. And the reason why is that positive 5 times positive 5 is 25, and negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. So your final answer for any square root equation is going to be a positive and negative 5, positive and negative 5. So you'll see that in Savas Realize that you have to click on that, the positive and negative sign, and then your number. Okay, unless you're dealing with a real life situation, then you're not going to have the negative, but we'll get into that soon. Okay, so then if you have, let's say x squared equals 36. So the 2 means you're going to square root both sides. So the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 36 is a positive and negative 6. That's your both answers. So because positive 6 times positive 6 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is also positive 36. So there's your answers are positive and negative. Now with the cube root equation, that's not accurate. So cube roots means you're going to cube root the number. That means you're thinking what times what times what is that number. So for example, if you had x cubed equals 27, the 3 means you're going to cube root both sides. And remember, this is how your cube root sign looks. So the cube root of x cubed is x, and the cube root of 27 is 3. Just positive 3 because this is positive 27. So 3 times 3 times 3 is positive 27. Now, if you try to do that with negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27, and that's not negative. So the negative does not work in this case. Cube root is just what the sign that is in the number that's inside your cube root sign. Okay, so now remember, if you're going to cube root a number, you need to Google scientific calculator. So scientific calculator. So when you Google that, the very first thing, your regular calculator, your basic one comes up, but then this scientific calculator down here, scientific calculator Desmos, that's the one you want to choose. So now if you look right here on your screen, you have the square root sign that you can use and the cube root. See the little root sign with the n as your that top number? That's the one you want to use, and you have to push a 3. So you have to tell it you're using the cube root. And then if I type in the box, cube root of 27, here is your answer. It's just positive 3, okay? So you have to Google scientific calculator, folks, scientific calculator. Now, if you're using a handheld scientific calculator like this, for example, so you are actually going to hit the 3 first. So 3 is for the cube root, and then you're going to hit this this arrow up button right here. So does everyone see that you've got the little X in the root sign right here in blue? So you push the 3 first to tell it that you're using the cube root. And then you hit the second button and then that button. So now your root sign pops up. So then if you push in 27, cube root of 27, you have 3. Okay, so just remember it's a scientific calculator that you have to use. Okay, so now let's go over to page 35 and let's do a few of these problems. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. This is a squared. So that means you are going to square root both sides. So the square root of z squared is z. And then because remember it's a square root, that's a positive and a negative. And then the square root of 1 is 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. So positive negative 1. Now this, the one right next to it, says cube root. So because it's a 3. So you're going to cube root both numbers. Cube root. So the cube root of a cubed is a, and then the cube root of 216 is just positive 6 because this is a positive number inside. Oops. If it were the cube root of negative 216, then your answer would be negative 6 because -6 times -6 times -6 is -216. Okay, let's keep going. So this is a squared. That means you are going to square root both sides. So the square root of 47, that's not a perfect square. So you get 6.85. You have to make sure you round correctly. So positive negative 6.9. It's a square root, so you need to have the positive negative in front of it. Okay, this one is a square photo. The area of a square photo is 9 square inches. So if the area is 9 square inches, it's a square, you're going to square root that. So the square root of 9 is positive and -3. However, this is a real life photo. So you can't have a -3 inches for a side. So it's only going to be +3. So each side of this photo is +3 inches because this is a real life situation. Okay, let's keep going. If you look at the next one, number 12, that's a 2, so you're going to square root both sides. So the square root of y squared is y, and the square root of 81 is 9. Positive and negative 9, because this is just an equation. It's not a real life situation. Okay, so take a look at this one. That's a 3. That means you're going to cube root both sides. Cube root of 1,000 is 10. And your only answer is positive because that's a positive number right there. Okay, now this is a real life situation. This is a garden. So, and this is a square garden. That means you're going to square root 121. So the square root of 121 is 11. So that means each side is 11 feet long. Each side is 11 feet long. Okay, this one is a square, right? So you're going to square root each side. And the square root of b squared is b, the square root of 77, rounded correctly, 8.8, positive and negative, positive and negative. Square roots are positive and negative. Okay, so this one is the cube root, so that means you're going to cube root both of these. So the cube root of c cubed is c, and the cube root of 1,728 is 124.7. If it's a 3, you're going to cube root it. If it's a 2, you're going to square root it. Okay, let's do one more, folks. So this one says the Travers are adding a new room to their house. The room will be a cube with a volume of 6,859 cubic feet. They're going to put hardwood floors on the bottom that cost $10 per square foot. How much will the hardwood floors cost? Okay, so now if the room's a cube, you're going to cube root the volume. So the cube root of 6,859. First do that. Oops, sorry. And that is 19. Now that means in that cube room, the bottom, oh gosh, that's a terrible cube. There we go. So the bottom floors are only putting floors on the bottom. So each side, each part of the room, each side is 19. So now you're going to do 19 times 19. You got to figure out how much flooring you need. 19 times 19 is 361. Now, since the floors cost $10 per square foot, you're going to multiply that by $10 per square foot. So $3,610 total. Okay, hope that helps.